The sky was an ominous shade of gray as Captain Daniel Mercer piloted his aircraft toward the infamous Bermuda Triangle. He had spent years fascinated by the legends surrounding this vast expanse of ocean, where planes and ships had vanished without a trace. Determined to uncover the truth, he had prepared for months, gathering the most advanced navigation systems, radar tracking, and emergency communication devices. His co-pilot, James Hollister, sat beside him, adjusting the controls as they entered the airspace that had perplexed scientists and conspiracy theorists alike. "Are you sure about this, Dan?" James asked, glancing nervously at the thickening clouds. "We don't have to do this." Daniel smirked. "We've come too far to turn back now. If we solve this mystery, we'll go down in history." Below them, the vast ocean shimmered under the dim sunlight, waves rolling in endless patterns. Everything seemed normal at first, but as they moved deeper into the triangle, an eerie silence filled the cockpit. The radio static grew louder, then suddenly cut off completely. James frowned. "We just lost contact with ground control." Daniel tapped the controls, trying different frequencies. No response. "But we knew this could happen. We'll follow our pre-planned route and observe any anomalies." As if on cue, the plane's instruments flickered wildly. The altimeter spun uncontrollably, and the compass needle spun in circles. A sudden jolt rocked the aircraft. Both men braced themselves as the plane trembled violently. "What the?" James yelled, gripping the seat as a blinding flash of light enveloped them. The plane spiraled downward, plunging through what felt like a vortex of energy. Colors swirled outside the cockpit, and for a brief moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, as quickly as it had started, the turbulence ceased. The plane emerged into clear blue skies. Daniel and James exchanged bewildered glances. Their instruments had reset, displaying different coordinates than before. A quick check revealed something even more startling. Their fuel levels were unchanged, as if no time had passed at all. James scanned the horizon. "Dan, look at the ocean." Below them, a fleet of ships floated in perfect condition, but they were not from any modern era. The sails were tattered yet intact, and the wooden hulls gleamed under the sunlight. It was as if they had been plucked from history and preserved here. "That looks like a Spanish galleon," Daniel murmured. "But that's impossible." Before they could react, their radio crackled back to life. "Unidentified aircraft. State your position." Daniel grabbed the transmitter. "This is Captain Daniel Mercer. We experienced a disturbance and—" "Daniel Mercer?" The voice interrupted, astonishment evident in the tone. "That can't be. You vanished over the Bermuda Triangle 60 years ago." A chill ran down Daniel's spine. "That's impossible. We just took off this morning." Silence followed before the voice returned. "Captain Mercer, we need you to land immediately. You're about to enter restricted airspace." Daniel and James looked at each other, dread creeping into their expressions. Had they truly been displaced in time? So, was there a way back? Determined to uncover more, Daniel veered the plane back toward the swirling anomaly they had emerged from. As they approached, the sky once again darkened, and the strange vortex reappeared. The plane shook violently as they entered, and another flash of light engulfed them. When the chaos subsided, they found themselves back in their original airspace. The instruments stabilized, the radio buzzed back to normal, and ground control frantically called their names. "Captain Mercer, where have you been? We lost contact for only a few minutes, but your plane disappeared from radar." Daniel and James sat in stunned silence. To them, they had spent hours navigating the strange realm beyond the Bermuda Triangle. But to the outside world, mere minutes had passed. Daniel exhaled deeply. "We made it back. But what we saw, it was real." They landed safely, immediately debriefed by authorities. But as they tried to explain what had happened, their story was met with skepticism. Scientists analyzed their flight data, but nothing abnormal registered. Yet, Daniel and James knew the truth. They had glimpsed another layer of reality, one where time flowed differently. Though the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle remained officially unsolved, Daniel and James had uncovered its secret. It wasn't a place of mere disappearances. It was a doorway to a realm beyond time, where the lost were preserved, waiting for the next traveler to stumble upon its enigmatic grasp. As the days passed, Daniel found himself restless. He couldn't stop thinking about what they had witnessed. He pored over historical records, trying to match the ships they had seen to known disappearances. To his astonishment, every ship he remembered had indeed vanished within the Bermuda Triangle, their fates unknown until now. One evening, he received an anonymous package at his doorstep. Inside was an old, weathered journal. The first page bore an inscription: "To those who seek the truth, beware." Flipping through the pages, he realized it was a logbook belonging to a pilot who had disappeared in the 1940s. The entries described the same vortex, the same strange ocean filled with ships from different eras. But unlike Daniel, the writer had never made it back. His heart pounded. Someone out there knew what was happening, and they wanted him to know too. Determined, he contacted James. "We have to go back. We need to find out more." James hesitated, but the curiosity in his eyes mirrored Daniel's. "Then we better prepare. This time, we make sure we return with undeniable proof." Their next journey into the Bermuda Triangle was no longer a simple flight. It was a mission to uncover what lay beyond the veil of time, and perhaps rescue those who had been lost to history. The preparations took weeks. Daniel and James equipped their aircraft with upgraded recording devices, satellite tracking, and even multiple backup navigation systems. They shared their findings with a small circle of trusted experts, ensuring that someone knew of their mission should they disappear again. As they approached the triangle once more, the air seemed to thrum with energy. The sky darkened as before, the instruments faltered, and the vortex reappeared. This time, however, Daniel maintained a steady hand, determined to document everything. Crossing the threshold, they once again entered the strange realm beyond time. But this time they weren't alone. A colossal structure loomed on the horizon. A city floating on the sea, filled with buildings that bore no resemblance to any known civilization. Towering spires glowed with an ethereal light, and figures moved along the shoreline, seemingly watching them. "Dan," James whispered, "that's not just a place lost in time. That's something else entirely." As they descended, the radio crackled again. "You have returned. You seek answers. Welcome to the forgotten world." Their journey had only just begun.